they say all men are created equal. Shot! Master! I'll pull out the Glock! Full of suffering succotash, son!
One of your nuts is hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass!
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Too Sweet, and we're back with a really special interview today. We've done a couple of these in the past, and we're super excited to have another special guest. So I'd like to welcome Chris from Atomic to Too Sweet. Hello Chris, how are you today?
Hello. Yeah, I'm not too bad. How are you?
Fantastic, thank you. Yeah, all the better
Good stuff.
for speaking to you. So we're here mainly to talk about Atomic. So for those of you who might not know, Chris is part of the team at Atomic Pro Wrestling, which is a really exciting promotion based in Liverpool here in the UK. And they're celebrating their third birthday on the 26th of April at Content in Liverpool. So a young but really successful independent promotion began in a brewery in Liverpool city centre, and we sold out every time. So you've upscaled to Content, which is the home of Bongos Bingo, some of you might be familiar with. It's a significantly larger venue, and Atomic just keeps on going from strength to strength. And yeah, Chris is part of the team of there's 4 of years and the promoters slash bookers slash showrunners.
Yeah. We're quite a small team. We kind of do a little bit of everything all together. But yeah, the main sort of driving force behind it is like me, Matt, and Chase at the minute, with Che Burnley, our host, and Katie. So there's sort of 5 of us, but it kind of rotates depending on who's doing what on that show.
It's great.
Who's on holiday and stuff.
Yeah, it's a lovely team, and it's lovely the way you've got it set up. So, like you say, when people are on holiday, the show still can go on. Che is a fantastic ring announcer, and Katie is one of my favorite people in the world. And you, Chris, do like social media and website, that sort of thing. Am I right?
Yeah, pretty much everything that you see, like the public side of things. So social media, the graphics, just all the video editing. Everything that sort of interacts with the fan base, I guess. I don't know. It sounds weird. But yeah, everything that you sort of see if you go onto our socials, it's generally me, for better or worse.
Absolutely. And I to be honest, I think it's great. I love the brand that you guys have created. I think it's friendly and like recognizable. It's really cool as well. Atomic was the first place where I ever commentated on like a full wrestling show, which was terrifying, but I loved it and it was great.
Yeah.
It's very
Oh, you smashed it.
Thank you. Very welcoming environment and very supportive, and the shows are just awesome. But we'll get into all that later. But before we begin with that, just please, Chris, could you introduce yourself to our listeners? Tell us maybe a bit about your background. Have you always been a wrestling fan, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I think I had the sort of standard UK like late 30s experience with wrestling where everyone I know watched it like 15 years ago. We were all big into it in high school, sort of the Stone Cold Rock, Mankind kind of era. And then we all fell out of it. And then sort of you sort of hit your mid-30s and you kind of swing back around. Well, for me, it was like early 30s. And you sort of swing back around to it. But that seems to be a very common sort of trajectory for a lot of wrestling fans who are my age. We all had that dip out, and then you come back and it's all completely different and it's better now. And I think things like AW help with that. But yeah, so I've always been a wrestling fan. I used to watch it with my granddad when I was a kid. Had the standard dip out, came back to it. I actually started training when I was around 30 in Fighting Spirit with Zach Gibson, James Drake in McGull over here in Liverpool. So I did that for a couple of years. COVID hit, so I didn't train for 18 months, 2 years. Went back for one training session, took a bump, and was like, nah, can't do that. Too old now. So after that, we were like, well, I still want to be involved in wrestling. I enjoy it. But part of my sort of background outside of wrestling is hospitality. So I've I've done millions of jobs. I've worked in offices for years, doing all kinds of stuff. And then moved into running bars. So we thought, well, I've got those kind of skills of like promotional skills and all that kind of stuff, and like advertising, sort of small independent stuff. So we thought we'll give it a go. We'll see whether we can put a wrestling promotion together. And then we did, and now we're here. So, and we're 3 years in, and it seems to be going okay. People seem to like it. So,
Yeah, I think I'd say it's going pretty well, to be honest with you. I think you're underplaying yourself there. I think it's great. But I want to go back to something you said. You said that you sort of fell out of love with wrestling and came back. So what was it that brought you back?
I think it's kind of hard to pinpoint. It's like I've always had mates who stayed into it. I think that's
Right,
one
yeah.
thing. And then so I would always watch sort of every year, watch the Rumble and Mania, and also the big ones. So we'd all get together and just kind of get drunk and watch the
Yeah.
wrestling. And then I think as you get older and you sort of slow down a little bit, you're like, well, that was actually quite good. You're not just there to get drunk and count down for the Rumble. You end up watching it a bit more and you're like, oh, okay, that wasn't bad. And I think that kind of coincided with WWE kind of coming out of a slump as well. Like, so I watched it every year, and then when I sort of like started paying a bit more attention, it was like, oh, that's actually, it's not bad anymore, and yeah, there wasn't really one specific thing. And then I think when I found out about the training school, because I've always liked sort of fitness and that kind of stuff, I was like, oh, maybe that might be a laugh. Might be able to do that. So we sort of went that way, and then AEW started, and I got back into that. And yeah, and they just started going to more indie shows as well, which was just loads of fun. And again, just sort of hanging out, and you see like, the TV stuff is so different from the independent live stuff. And, I like both types of things, but, it's more fun to get drunk in a crowd and yell at some wrestlers. That's, I enjoy that kind of thing. And yeah, so that was kind of it. Just found myself kind of pulled back into it.
Yeah.
Partly through training, partly through watching shows and having a drink. Sorry, I've got a cat running past.
Oh, cute kitty. We love cats on the Too Sweet podcast. Estelle's got a black cat too. So yeah, you mentioned about your training there with the grizzled young vets. So we're an AEW podcast. We love talk any sort of details we can get about the roster. Obviously, they've quite recently signed. So what are they like to work with?
They're brilliant. Some of the best trainers I would guess, like in the world. Like there's a reason why everyone that came through Fighting Spirit is doing really, really well. People like Oberman, Kessler, Young Bucks, FTM, and dozens of others. They're so professional. They know exactly what they're doing, and they are very good at getting that across. Very big into sort of the technical side of things as well. Very good at training people to kind of be match ready, as opposed to just being able to do a match. If that makes sense. So
Of course.
be able to not just get through something, to be able to actually run a professional match start to finish, and then the stuff either side of it. But yeah, they've moved to Florida now, so that's that kind of means why I don't train with them anymore. But if you're near Florida and you want to train with someone, they're probably the best ones. But yeah, they're great. Couldn't recommend them enough. I Fight in Spirit as well. We did. Sam Bailey took over quite a lot of sessions, and he's now in Future Shock, so he was just as good. We did sessions with Danny Hope from Models, and just a million other people. But the core base of GYV really set a lot of people up to be the next generation of Brit Res. Which it's very special to be part of it, even though I was nowhere near good enough to be there with like some of those guys. But yeah, I was a good base apparently. So
Well,
kept their own.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think there's like a ripple effect of that school. You can see the impact that's had today in British wrestling. Like you named, there's some of the top names in the country right now and obviously people like yourself, and the impact that's had on Atomic, like arguably like the reason that Atomic exists, like the impact has been absolutely massive.
100%. Yeah.
Influential.
Like a few of us actually met at Fighting Spirit. Like I wouldn't have known Deck or Chase at all if not for Alex, not Chase. I should call him by his real name. But I wouldn't know them at all if it wasn't for Fighting Spirit. I would know Matt because I've known him for years. But yeah, when we started training at the Fighting Spirit, you start meeting with people who are sort of like-minded and have sort of similar views on wrestling, and similar views on what a wrestling show should be. And yeah, it purely has Atomic exists because of Fighting Spirit. Like without that, we don't exist.
Love that. And like you said, the Grizzled Young Vets now living in Florida, but they do, well, they have come and wrestled on Atomic a couple of times.
Yeah.
And some other sort of big names that listeners to this podcast who might be predominantly AEW fans, because we know our audience, who might have heard, who they might have heard of, who wrestles at Atomics, people who've been signed or previously signed, people like Harley Hudson, Leon Slater, Wild Boar. But I want to ask you this question: who do you think on the current Atomic roster that listeners should be looking out for as potential future stars on their TV?
I mean, we make no secret about getting behind people who we think are, have got a massive future. People like, Scott Oberman and Teddy Ray have been our two singles champions, and Tony Wright as well with our first ever champion. Like, they are three people who are doing really well at the minute, but the sky's the limit for them. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you see all three of those on a TV in some form in the next few years. Like people like Act 2, FTM, like Quintessential, they're sort of young, hungry tag teams, but they are just, again, like there's no limit to their talent. They will just get better and better and better. Like Quintessential and FTM, especially, they're like super young, and they're so good. Like even Act 2, they feel like they've been around for years and years, but they're still super young, and they're starting to get, to the next level above Atomic. They're sort of dipping their toes into, Progress and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, there's going to be, but basically anyone we highlight, we really do try and get behind people, and we try and book people that we think have a future in the business. I think I've got a decent eye for talent. So yeah, anyone we put a belt on, anyone who's like sniffing around our belts, they're ones to keep an eye on. Mainly because I want them to succeed and then get to places like AEW, and then I can get free tickets and get into these things.
Of course.
Yeah. It's all ulterior motives. I want to be backstage.
Obviously.
Invite me to the parties. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be front row. It's a long game. It's a long-term planning.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. If not front row, I want to be like back with the boys, just like being started.
Oh yeah, like
that's what the fun is. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, and Teddy Ray, of course, current Atomic champion, and I completely echo everything you said about him. He's fantastic. And everyone else you mentioned, but just wanted to highlight him as the current champ. So let's go back to, we'll rewind again to when Atomic was created. And I kind of wanted to ask you, because Liverpool and that sort of area of the UK, which is in the northwest, if anyone listening isn't sort of familiar, it's a hive of indie promotions. It's quite saturated, to be honest, and also Manchester, which is quite nearby, and those sort of surrounding areas, the two main cities in this part of the country. And then you have also in the towns around there, like smaller promotions. So was that like a concern for you? Did you face any sort of challenges when setting up Atomic?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was just more of we were just trying to think of ways that we wouldn't be stepping on toes. So obviously, like, the biggest one in the area, it's probably the TNT or Infinite. TNT, they are quite deathmatch heavy. They have got the sort of family-friendly shows as well, but I have known Jay, who runs it for 8 years now, and it was just a case of like trying to set our stall out different from how they do. So we're not trying to compete, we're just complementing the area. And everyone's goal in the area as well does seem to be to make wrestling fans, so that we do share quite a lot of the same fan base, which is great. Like, if I go to a TNT show with flyers, there's no issue handing them out. Jay does it at our shows, and it is just like we try and work together more than anything, because competing is just tiresome. But yeah, when we first started, we did have conversations of like, okay, well, who do we consider to be sort of TNT guys, or who do we consider to be Infinite sort of mainstays, and let's look elsewhere and try and sort of book around how everybody else is booking, so that we weren't stepping on toes and we weren't just like, copying plans. And we wanted to be our own thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's always been kind of important to us. Is very much like, there's, I mean, even in the tone of Atomic, like the way we run our social media is not necessarily the way most serious promotions do, even though we do try and be a serious promotion, but we try and do it with a bit of tongue-in-cheek, or a bit more of a sillier personality than say TNT do, because TNT are very like, because they're deathmatch heavy. If they started cracking Simpsons references and jokes, it wouldn't make sense. So we try and build that kind of personality where we can get away with being a little bit off kilter,
A little bit daft.
Yeah, and it's fine. It sets us apart, and people aren't going to look at the Liverpool scene and go, "Oh, well, Atomic and TNT and Infinite, they're all just the same." Like, they're going to look at us and go, "These are three completely separate promotions offering different things." I like deathmatch, so I'm going to focus on TNT. I like sort of story-based stuff, so I've got other options. So it was a concern, but not. It was more like a concern that we didn't want to step on toes, rather than a concern of like, oh, well, this might not work, because we didn't go into it to compete. It's all about complementing and working with what's around. Like, we're probably closest to Future Shock in terms of like content, but they're miles away, so it's fine.
Based in Manchester, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what you said about social media is kind of what I was getting at the start when I said about your brand and stuff. It is very unique and very distinctive. You have this like quite, I guess, kind of maybe you could say cheeky like brand voice, which I do think sets you apart. And also, like, as they say, like a rising tide lifts all boats. So we're all sort of helping each other in the scene. And it's not really like, in my experience anyway, like competitive. It's not like, oh, I want to sell more tickets than you and put you out of business. It's more like, okay, well, if you can come fly at our shows and get our fans into yours and etc. And that boosts everyone. I think as well at Atomic you had quite a good formula. I mean, and you still do, where you were running Wednesdays, which was unique, and no one else was running on a Wednesday, so you didn't have like talent clashes where wrestlers couldn't make it to you because they were wrestling somewhere else. And now it's a bit different but similar, because you were running on Sundays. So little things like that just make you different and make it work.
Yeah, the Wednesday thing definitely helped to sort of kick it off. I think people just like doing stuff midweek, and as well because of my sort of background, because I know hospitality quite well, so we did sort of lean into. Because I don't know if you've ever worked in a bar, but generally weekends don't exist as for everybody else, because you're working. So of course, sort of hospitality, sort of bartender style weekends are generally somewhere between Monday and Wednesday. That's just how it is. So your Friday, Saturday you're working, but Tuesday, Wednesday you might be off.
And that's when you want to go be social.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to book a Wednesday off than it is to book a Saturday.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have moved to Sundays despite that. Just because the Wednesdays, like, I work in hospitality, so Wednesday is my quiet day, and then I filled it with a second job, this wrestling job, and it was like it's either something needs to change. So Sunday was a nice compromise, like Sunday afternoon, and it seems to be working well. Like, we've not really seen a dip in crowds. It's gone up if anything. So
great.
The talent clashes is now a headache that I didn't have before, but it's quite a fun one.
You got to problem solve around it. Got to put different people.
It's like playing with action figures, but it's just a list of names. It feels very like is it TEW? It's like, oh crap, okay, well they're not available, so you slide people around and what fits, who's available. It creates problems, but they're kind of fun puzzle game problems that you can work around. And there's been a couple of things that have come out of it where we've just sort of gone like, oh, okay, well, we're going to have to just do this because there's no other option. And then that's worked really well in a way that we couldn't have seen. So now it's like, oh, great. Now we've got a whole new avenue of stuff that we wouldn't have had if our actual plans had come to fruition. And we still got the other plans on the back burner. So, that's quite the fun. That's why I like booking wrestling shows. Just moving around, throwing people together, seeing what they do. It's good. It's fun.
Yeah, like you said, it's like playing with action figures, except there's a lot more spreadsheets involved than when you were a kid, I
Mm.
imagine.
Yeah.
But spreadsheets are fun.
Yeah, and the action figures have all got different wages, and then that's the headache. So yeah,
And
it's like
they've
you're
got
paying your
extras
action
that need
figures.
paying.
Yeah.
So we were talking about
Yeah.
like other companies as well. So were you influenced at all by like other sort of independent companies and what they were doing, or was the things that like you maybe on the other side of that aspired not to be like? Did you learn from other people's mistakes, perhaps?
So I don't necessarily know about other people's mistakes, just because I don't want to sort of shit talk too much.
Of course.
'Cause I love shit talking. I won't do it.
I'm trying.
Um,
I'm trying to encourage you, but it's all right. You keep it sensible. It's fine.
yeah. So like the thing I used to love, going back like a decade, I went to every Progress Manchester show. Back when Progress was fucking biggest thing in the world, like pre NXT
Yeah.
UK. So I went to a lot of that and I loved the energy and like the atmosphere. The shows just were great. To the point where like I don't remember that many main events because where it was in Manchester, the Ritz used to sell these double pinter things. So it's just 2 pints in one cup. So you'd have a couple of them and then you end up just
Then you're
getting lost
laughing.
in the crowd. Yeah. But it was that kind of vibe. Like the shows were just brilliant, every single one of them. So when we started, it was like, well, that's kind of that's the emotion I want to get into the crowd. I want to get people to just go in there, have a good time, like a much more of a gig atmosphere than
Mm,
like a wrestling show. Like I think one thing we didn't want to do was the kind of, and this will sound like shit talking, but it's not. It's just my personal preference. Like I prefer wrestling shows that feel like gigs, as opposed to wrestling shows that are kind of working men's club style,
mm,
like low ceiling. Like I think it's why content really works for us because it is essentially a gig venue. So we get all the lights and the production that comes along with seeing your favorite band. It's just all centered on
yeah.
a wrestling ring. Like we did what we could in Asvex. It was limited. It was a great venue for us to start in. We learned so much by just like having to throw stuff at the wall and see what fixed. Like literally, see what worked. Sorry, like literally our screen, like where we showed entrance videos, was just a wall. We literally
Yeah.
threw stuff at the wall. It was just a projector that I brought with me. I aimed at a wall, and the wall was off center, and it was all wonky, but it looked cool.
It did look very cool.
Um, yeah. So it's stuff like that of like problem solving is fun for me. But yeah, so it was sort of like classic Progress was the vibe we were going for. And I know Progress has built itself back up again, but there was a bit of a lull coming out of COVID where it just
Yeah.
wasn't the same. Like they've done an incredible job getting back to like where they are now. But sort of the Smallman era, uh, in the build up to Wembley, that whole bit was just it was brilliant, and that's kind of what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so we sort of tried to deal off them. And then when we first started, I think we'd done like a show where we were just prepping for the first show. I discovered North Wrestling,
Ah,
which
yeah.
I just at the time I did not know anything about. And when I saw it, I was a little bit like, that fuck, that's exactly what that's it. Yeah, that's what we want to do.
It already exists.
Yeah, it already exists. It's just a little bit too far away for me to get to. But yeah, so we weren't really influenced by them, but it was very much like, yeah, they nailed it. If we can get to anywhere near that level, then amazing.
I guess it was
Um,
sort of like validation that okay, this idea does work because
mm,
North are absolutely huge, one of the biggest independent companies in the UK, and they've got a really
yeah,
strong following. They sell out most shows that they do. So was that quite
yeah,
validating?
and yeah, definitely. And as well, when I found out they ran in a brewery, I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
they're gonna think I'm copying. I promise I'm not. But yeah, they're like they are sort of the benchmark at the moment. I think. Like a lot of people, obviously love Rev Pro, which I think is great. It's not what I want to do. It's not my style of event. Like, the wrestling's great. It's my style of wrestling. It's just the event around it. I prefer sort of a slightly
Mm,
sillier, like a bit more like. I think I tried to explain this to the week. So I see Atomic as the wrestling is serious, and we take all the storylines very seriously. But sometimes the storylines themselves are silly, so the reasons for the wrestling can be a little bit daft.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's very serious because there are genuine blood feuds going on, and we're building up to big matches, and all that's very serious. But every now and again, you can just have like the Prince Pele Invitational Rumble.
Oh, can't wait for that.
Yeah. Just stuff like that. Like that's my brand is serious wrestling, potentially a little bit silly reasons for the serious wrestling. I think that's what makes me tick.
Yeah, I think that sums it up in a really nice way. And as well, I think a great example of that is your Halloween show that you do every year. And the Monster Mash Rumble is usually someone dressed in a silly inflatable costume. The Sharknado was a real highlight. Still, I think I peaked on commentary then. I'd probably never top it.
That's like our most viewed 12-second clip on TikTok, I think. The Sharknado, just two people in shark costumes, one blue, one pink. The pink one was Harley Hudson.
Fun fact.
Incredibly famous superstar. And they just did a
tornado, DDT.
Big spinning. The DDT, sorry. Yeah, exactly. And it was loads of fun. It's one of those like that came about organically where we just sort of realized we had two shark costumes in the building. It's like, okay, let's get them both in the Rumble.
We have to use them both.
And then we need to do a Sharknado. Yeah, obviously. But stuff like that. It's like I think wrestlers really appreciate it as well because they know they can come to us and be like, right, this is stupid. I think it'll be good, and they know that we'll listen and generally support it or tweak it or be like, yes, like sort of improv, like yes and or yes but, and this year's Halloween show. Annoyingly, it falls on the 1st of November, so it's the day after Halloween. But we're just not going to worry about that. If I can pull off my plan for it, I might retire the next day. I might just stop because if the plan is so absurd and I'm not going to tell anyone about it, I'm just going to try and make it happen on the day.
You can't exclusively reveal on the Too Sweet podcast what it is.
I can't. I'll tell you later, and I think you'll call me an idiot, and you will hate calling comms on it.
Oh, great! Love that.
Yeah. It's going to be very, very convoluted.
Fantastic.
I mean, if you've never been to an Atomic show before and you're like sort of silly wrestling, the Halloween one is the one to go to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there might not be any more after that. I might just be thrown out of the business. There'll be like a shadowy cabal of wrestling promotions will come and just help me out for being too stupid. But we'll see.
I look forward to that. On that similar thing, I wasn't going to ask this question next, but I feel like I have to. What's the worst idea that's ever been pitched to you, either by like a wrestler or someone else in terms of like maybe a story or a match or a gimmick?
I always sort of say there's no bad ideas. And that's kind of an ethos that we run Atomic on. So like in our planning group chat, we've kind of made it very clear, like there's no bad ideas. Even if you pitch an idea and everyone says, no, that's stupid, that doesn't mean there's no like lasting repercussions from that. Like it's a safe space, say what you like, pitch what you like, because very often you'll get, I'm terrible for it. I pitch I constantly bad ideas, but then the bad ideas lead to good ideas. Like someone else might go, that's really stupid, but if you pluck this little bit and you twist it and you give it to this person, then that works. And so we try and say like, there's no bad ideas because that's just the healthiest way to be, I think. In terms of like things that we've been pitched, the worst ideas, not necessarily the worst as in bad, as in they wouldn't work. The worst ones are when you ask someone for an idea because I've got nothing for them. And they'll come back and be like, well, why don't I wrestle all my mates and then win the belt? It's not a story. It's like, I know what you want to do, and that's a good idea in theory for you and your mates. But I can't put that over in like graphics. Like I can't clip bits and build a story around that because it's not a story really. Like if you say like, oh, I'm going to fall out with all of my mates and they're not going to invite me to Alton Towers or something, and then I've got a reason to go through them one by one, then okay, that's a story. It's not a good story, but it's something. Yeah, there is like, if this, then that happens, and then this happens, and then that happens. And it's like there's a story there. But yeah, it's the ones sort of, and we haven't had it a lot. But yeah, someone asks, can they be on the show? And say, I've got nothing for you. Pitch me something, and I'd be like, right, me and all my mates get paid, and we have a lovely day, and I win the belt. Like, I can't do anything with that.
I
Like,
can't
I
wait
can,
for this.
yeah, I can, but I'm gonna make you wear a shark costume or something. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I appreciate that. You just want it to make sense. You want those stories, don't you? And I think as well, like going back to what you were saying about you sort of aiming for more of a gig atmosphere at your events, and I think that comes with people like the fans understanding the characters and they're following along in their journeys that actually do sort of make coherent sense, and they're laughing, but they're also getting so behind their favourites. Like I've already talked about Teddy Ray winning the championship. That was a huge story arc. And
that
also
was an
like
insane pop as well when he won
it
that.
was.
I was at the back of the room and it just everyone went mental. That felt so good because it was like this is a year in the making. And annoyingly, I personally had very little to do with that story. That was all Scott and Teddy like planned it out sort of perfectly. It was like they just gave it to me on a plate, and that's when I was like, yes, there you go.
Love that. And
That's
makes
an
your job
example
nice
of a
and
good
easy.
pitch. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you there.
No, that's all right. I was just gonna say that like the audience at Atomic I find is really unique. So it's not like an 18 plus show that it's family friendly. There's like some kids in the audience, but it's not kid heavy. Like for example, in Morecambe at Odyssey Pro Wrestling, where I pretty much started off, it's like 50% kids and 50% their
Mm,
parents. Whereas at Atomic, you've got a mix of like hardcore indie wrestling fans, people just out for a drink who aren't you really actually wrestling fans, and some families as well. So
yeah.
how, I guess like two parts to this question, how did you attract such a varied audience and how do you appeal to such a varied audience?
So I think again, like I was saying before, the hospitality backgrounds, like we did just
Yeah.
start advertising to bars and like sort of people who we knew would probably be free midweek, and we sort of tried to advertise it in a way that wasn't just like come to this wrestling show. It was like, well, come to this show. It's about wrestling and it's a good time.
Mm,
And we tried to like explain to people what wrestling was a little bit at the very beginning. So
mm,
it's like if you have never been to an indie wrestling show, you probably have a preconception of what it is. So we did put some work into sort of making some videos going like it's just a good night out. Like
yeah.
it is a gig. Like it's you're going to see your favorite band. It's just that your favorite band is in tiny pants and they hit each other. Like it's a good laugh. And I try to explain it to sort of sports fans by saying like it's like going to a football game, but you there's no chance that you're going to come out feeling dejected because your team lost.
Yeah.
Like even if your favorite wrestler loses, you come out going like, "Oh, you'll get him next time." You come out fired up if your favorite guy wins or if he loses. Like there's no reason to come away going like, "Oh, what a terrible day. We lost 4-0, ruin my day." It's like
Sack
you're
the
not going to get
manager.
that. Yeah, yeah. You're not going to get that. You do get referees a wanker chance. That's similar. That's the link. But yeah, it's like we just try to appeal to people who maybe sort of were aware of wrestling or were in the slump of that loop that I mentioned earlier, where you used to watch it, you still watch the Rumbles, but you've paid it no attention properly. And we're going to those people and saying like, it's as good as you remember, it's as fun, and now you're old enough to have a pint. So,
It's
like,
even
absolute
better.
worst case, you come along, you give us a go. We're only 16 quid a ticket. You've lost nothing. You've got a few hours, and even if you don't like it, just go to the bar. And
Yeah.
like, but it's one of them. If you come on your own, it's a laugh. The shows are great. If you come with five mates who have never seen a single second of wrestling, you're gonna have a good time. Like, it's just, I think the atmosphere we try and build is like, it's just, yeah, like we try and make it like a gig. So it's just it's also kind of why we have shorter matches than indie wrestling generally does. Like we do try and tell the stories in a shorter amount of time because if something isn't working for a particular fan, there's another match in 10 minutes
Hmm.
and something in that might work. Like, I don't like to say that we try and appeal to everybody because I think there's a lot of pitfalls in trying to appeal to a massive audience. But I think if you've got an idea of your audience and you appeal to that subsection, even if you know for a fact that there are families, there are hardcore fans, there are people that have been to 500 indie shows this year, sat next to someone, and this is their first ever wrestling show. If you know that that's what you've got, you can pepper in different things, and we try and build the show in that way. So, like, the first match will generally appease everybody. The second match might be kind of niche, so that appeals to the hardcore fans, and then there's a big rumble that everyone loves.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's that kind of thing. It's sort of thinking ahead and like being like, well, if this first match, which is Chris Ridgway just kicking the shit out of someone for 10 minutes, if that doesn't appeal to the people that want flips, give it a minute, there'll be flips. Like, don't worry about it. And I think we've built that trust from people that they'll buy a ticket knowing that even if they're not necessarily a wrestling fan, they might be an Atomic fan.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, so it's there's a lot of words to say that I don't really know. I just sort of try and make our crowd happy.
Yeah, I think it's quite it's a variety show, isn't it? And that's what's beautiful about it. And you've made it 3 years of strong and well attended and like well received shows. So clearly you're doing something right there in having that sort of wider appeal. And I'm glad that you mentioned as well about like the ticket pricing. So 16 quid general admission is it's pretty cheap going when you look at the sort of market. And
yeah, we do kick ourselves a little bit sometimes when I look at the bank balance, where it's like,
you gotta make it accessible. That's the thing, isn't it? And you also put all your shows up on YouTube for free, like full shows.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, like, what's behind that decision? Like, do you ever look at your bank account and regret that? It's a market where most indie shows are behind a paywall.
Yeah. The completely honest answer is I just don't think anyone pays for indie shows behind paywalls. Like, not to an extent that it is worth the time. Like, obviously people like Progress and North, like, you've got thousands of followers and a Patreon and all that. But for someone like us, it's like I've got quite a busy day job as well.
Yeah.
And so I haven't got time, and there's no one on the team that I've got time to run a Patreon or any of that kind of stuff. And when I did put the first couple of shows behind like a paywall, like two quid a show, on, I'd say, watchwrestlinglive.com or something, some site that you can do that with. And we got like one or two. And it just wasn't worth the few quid. And I thought, well, the whole point of Atomic when we started was to showcase people that we thought were very good and were maybe not getting the exposure that they should be. And so why am I putting stuff behind a paywall for the sake of a few quid when I could put it on YouTube? And then the secondary sort of thing about that is, like, Atomic is, for me personally, one massive learning curve. So I basically taught myself Photoshop to make the graphics. I taught myself Premiere Pro to begin with, and now CapCut, because everyone uses that and it's easier for them, like little videos and snippets and stuff. So I've never really got my head around YouTube. So now I use Atomic to sort of teach myself about YouTube as well. I'm nowhere near getting there, but again, it's a time issue. I just haven't had the time to figure out what YouTube Shorts are and how to get them out and stuff like that. But it's on my list of things to sit down and figure out.
Yeah, neither have we on this podcast, to be fair. We have a TikTok account, but it's pretty much gathering dust for the most part. It's
witchcraft. It's just the algorithm. Just like we've just sort of kind of dropped off Twitter a little bit, because we post something and it gets 2 likes.
Yeah,
it's the same people, and I love those people, but it's just not worth the holding the copy and the paste and then the reading tweets. And when I open Twitter now, it's just, there's nothing relevant even from people we follow, because it doesn't show me people we follow. It shows me other crap that I don't want to see.
It's a hellscape.
Yeah, so we've sort of dropped off Twitter, but that means I might have a bit more time to now look at YouTube or, I mean, not TikTok, because I'm nearly 40. It's just not for me. Katie does do some stuff. Katie does do some stuff for our TikTok, but I think her personal one does well, but ours just doesn't. If you know anyone who's good at TikTok, please say hello, and I will just give you our TikTok login. But yeah, so the ethos behind putting things on YouTube for free is kind of just, it just feels like if people are like people are coming to working our shows. They're putting their bodies on the line. You know, that famous line everyone says. Like, and then someone takes a massive spill to the outside, and everyone goes, "Wow, crazy!" And then I'm trying to charge £2 for it, and it's like, I'd rather just be up and available for people to see, and then not only did they get paid the wage they've asked for, they actually get exposure.
Yeah,
a lot of people are offered to pay in exposure, and it means nothing, but at least there is now the option of they can use our clips and they can send those shows to other promotions, and there's no faffing about. They can just go, "Here's me having a sick match on Atomic, please book me elsewhere." And I think it's definitely helped some people on our roster get to the next level, and for people to see them and get extra bookings and all that good stuff. And yeah, so as a promoter, it just seems like I'm trying to promote the show itself and the wrestlers that are on our shows. So I don't want to put myself through the hassle of running an entirely separate platform that's pay-per-view that's not why I'm doing it. So yeah, sounds a bit holier than now. They boils down to YouTube's easier. It's less work for me, and everyone benefits. So yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, I agree. Because I think you and the other sort of main example that I can think of is Spinebuster TV. They put everything up on their YouTube channel for free, which is like they've got quite a big channel that's grown a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they know stories of people who've like promoters have literally watched that channel and booked someone, and they've been able to, just reach new opportunities literally through that. So, and it makes it easier for everyone. Like, you don't have to, like you said, it's not behind, like, it's not like gate kept, like the footage and stuff. It just, it is. It's just nice to get it out there, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Like, and we get some nice feedback. We get some bizarre comments, but we try and delete those. The YouTube comments are their own separate hellscape. But we get some really nice ones. Yeah, we get some really nice ones, and it's just like people live in America that just sort of thought one morning, like, "Oh, let's see what British wrestling's up to," and then they just find us, subscribe, and it's like, "Oh, I've got 10 hours of shows to watch now," and they're just, "Oh, brilliant! I've never heard of any of these people, so this is great." And it's just you've now made a fan across the other side of the world, and it's just kind of nice. Like, I think it's. Yeah, and again, it does boil down to it's just easier for everybody. Like, if a wrestler wants to send a match out, they can just link directly to that. There's no Dropbox involved. We're not signing in, we're not authorizing share access on Google Drive. It's like you can just go.
Have a YouTube link and go look.
Yeah, here's me looking fucking sick on Atomic. Look, I main evented it. Book me. And then they get a higher profile, and then people will go, "Oh, like Teddy Ray's great. Like, in this new show near where I live, I wonder where he's from, Teddy Ray. Oh, there's a Atomic. I can travel to that." And then snowballs.
Exactly. Yeah, it benefits everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I do reserve the right, though, if we ever get massive, I probably will paywall it. Just, why not? So I do reserve the right to eat my words.
when you were saying that, I was thinking that, like, what if it just totally blows up and they decide it is actually profitable, and then you get cancelled for being a massive hypocrite.
Yeah, I'm fine being a hypocrite. That's no problem with
me. When money's involved, it doesn't matter. It's fine.
Yeah.
So we were talking about like stories and stuff, and we did have a question for one of our listeners who wanted to know, how do you pace out your plot points from a writing perspective?
It's difficult because we don't get a lot of time to tell stories. We do 6 shows a year at the minute.
Yeah.
So it's difficult that way. But part of that means that we have to be kind of straightforward and simple. Like, we've tried doing sort of nuanced stories in the past, and it just doesn't really work. So the way we try and do it is like, well, I call it, it's just very famous when I say I call it, I didn't invent this. It's just if this, then that storytelling. So it's like, if this happens, then that logically leads to this, which leads to this. And then, if something else happens at the side that runs concurrently, then that happens. And it's just, we try and keep it as simple as we can so that it makes sense, because sometimes we do have 6-8 weeks between shows. So we don't want people to be trying to remember, oh, did he give him a weird dirty look at the end of it? Like, oh, what that meant. You want someone to go like, oh, well, he hit him with a chair. It's like, I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so now they're enemies. Not just like, oh,
Enemies,
that handshake didn't feel sincere. No, he
yeah.
threw a piano at him. Like, you want to make it as clear as possible so that then when that leads into the next show, you've then got a clip to pull and say, this is why this match is happening. And yeah, it's not always possible with things like people's schedules and availability. But again, that's kind of the fun part of being like, well, how do we keep this story going? Is there a B story we can bring in with you've got wrestler A and wrestler B feuding. Wrestler B can't make the next show. Can we do something with wrestler C, where maybe he's been linked to wrestler B in the past? So now we can at least point to that and say that's why A and C are wrestling. Yeah, it sounds simple, and it kind of is, but it's just being able to think on the fly, I think, kind of keeps things going. But we do try and plan out a bunch of shows. We have a storyline. We do message people and say, this is our plan. Are you up for it? And then generally we try and stick to that. Obviously, people being away, or even things like crowd reactions. Like if we think like, oh, this story beat's going to get him over as a babyface. And then everyone starts booing. Like, oh, okay, well, he's not a face. He's a bad guy, and now we need to do something with that. Like, but that's great because we've had that reaction, and then because we've had that reaction, this happens, and then this happens, and it's just trying using very simple building blocks to build to something that people will remember. Is kind of how I look at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there isn't a lot of room for nuance and little story beats, but you can sometimes have an A story, a B story, and you go through the story arc like every single film in the world. The high points, the low points, and you try and plan all those out so that it's a nice big payoff at the end. And when it works, it's amazing. And sometimes it doesn't work, and you're just like, well, there's another match in a minute, so don't worry about it.
Yeah,
So
we can move on. I think because often on our weekly podcast we watch AEW every week and we're playing Fantasy Book and we've got all these amazing ideas, but obviously it's so different in practice when like you say, you've only got 6 shows a year. You've got to really make them count.
Yeah.
So
So if we did a weekly show, one, I would go insane.
yeah.
But
Can you imagine how
2,
difficult?
yeah, the storylines I'd be trying to tell would just be like Alan Moore, labyrinthine, just epics that would go nowhere and everywhere at the same time, and everyone would be mad at me, and none of it would make any sense. But I'll be having a great time. So it's kind of nice that we only have 6 shows a year to go boom, 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 boom. This is the story.
So on that note, are there any particular like stories or feuds or moments in Atomic that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, like everything Tony Wright's ever done.
Love him.
I don't take credit for a lot of his stuff, to be honest. He's just, you can give him, you give him a morsel and he'll make a meal. Like he's incredibly good at everything he does. I think Tony's one of the few people that you can say to someone, you can say to him, like, at the end of this match, I want you to give him a look, and then people will remember it 2 months later because it's Tony.
Yeah, he's very talented.
Yeah, it's like the whole bit about Tony trying to get back for his belt after Oberman took it off him. Like, Tony was our first champ, Oberman was our second, and then Tony was constantly chasing and he was getting close, dropping, and then there was a match where he thought he'd won it and everyone was going crazy. And then we did the Oberman's leg on the ropes thing, and it turns out he hadn't, and then he lost that match.
I mean,
and it's like,
it was great, but it was horrible at the same time. It was super heartbreaking.
Yeah, but there's only a handful of wrestlers who can do that kind of thing, because to be able to do that, you need the crowd to believe in you, and Tony's just got that. Like, he had the whole crowd just in his hands, even though he lost. It's like he was the star of that match, and he came out of it just looking like $1 million without winning, which is difficult. That's very, very difficult to do. And again, that's not really an Atomic thing. That's 90% a Tony Wright thing. And again, everything Oberman's done, it's just worked for us perfectly. Him and Tony and Kessler in the early days, and Teddy Ray more recently, they're just all perfect foils for each other because they know each other well. So you can just kind of like you bounce them off each other and you give them a rough idea and it's like this is kind of where I want to go, and they'll just work it out in just a brilliant way. It's like Meat Wagon when they won the titles, we were having a lot of fun with them. We had some big plans, and then Chris Anderson Daniels went and broke his leg, so that kind of put a damper on that. But they would have been another one where they just would have taken it and ran. But yeah, like we don't do an awful lot of big stories. We do try and tell just little things, and we try to keep like, because obviously not every match on the show can be a main event level. Like you do need to sort of plan in stuff that is a little bit of a breather. So you kind of, the stakes in this one aren't that big. But then some people will take that and run with it and make the stakes huge. Some matches just don't work as well. That's another thing. You have to just accept that very early on, that it can be a good idea, great wrestlers, great crowd up for it, and on the day in the ring doesn't work, which is heartbreaking. But again, that's part of the ethos of I'll just give it a minute. There's another match, and then we'll work out why that went wrong, and then we'll fix it next time. Yeah, that's it. Storytelling 101, basically.
We talk about that sometimes with AEW, and sometimes things don't work out, and it's like you have to have that confidence to be able to even pivot sometimes if something's not working. It's like, okay, well, we're going to have to pull the plaster off and just pull the plug, all the stupid metaphors for just basically giving up on something and accepting that it doesn't connect with the fans, even though it seems like a good idea at the time. Sometimes, ultimately the fans dictate.
Yeah, it's just a perfect storm of like, it didn't work. And you move on. Like it's never anybody's fault. That's the thing as well. Even if someone just completely has a terrible match, it's not their fault. It's one of them. It happens. We're in indie wrestling. It happens, and everyone's going to be fine at the end of the day. So as long as everyone comes out, as long as no one's hurt, then we're happy.
Yeah, that's the priority, isn't it? I wanted to ask you about like mixed gender wrestling and women's wrestling. So I remember one of the first things you said to me when I started working on commentary at Atomic was, well, we do like women wrestling the men, but we don't call it as like intergender wrestling or anything. It's just a wrestling match. And I was like, I'm so glad that you said that, because I totally agree, and that's exactly how I think it should be approached. So what was sort of the decision-making process behind that?
To be honest, it wasn't ever really something we talked about. It's like we just sometimes it just I think trying to separate divisions just doesn't really make sense. Like obviously they just are, like, by an order of magnitude. There's more male wrestlers than there are female wrestlers. But that's not to say there are no female ones. So sometimes shows do look a bit unbalanced, but we just think, well, rather than, and again, try not to shit talk, but there are promotions that will have the women's match, and it's like, oh look, we did it. We did the women's match. We're all good. No one can tell us off. Equality. Yeah, we did the thing. Yeah, Twitter's happy with us now. We're all equal. But it just felt like, well, like there are female wrestlers that are fucking incredible. So like, why would we limit who they can wrestle?
Yeah.
And there are matches that I can picture with, I kind of just see everybody as the wrestlers. Like, it doesn't make sense to me to split off into different things. I don't understand it on like a basic level. I don't know why you would do that as a booker. Like, it's like having all these tools and just kind of going like, well, I only use those ones on Tuesdays. It's like, well, but they're useful tools. Like, and some of the best matches we've had of intergender, like the Rumbles, where we just throw everybody in, they're just great. Like, and we've never had any feedback whatsoever from anyone complaining about it or saying like, oh, they just weren't as good. It doesn't happen, because that's not the case. It's just, like, I think if you tried to tell Alexis Falcon or Rio, oh, you can only wrestle women for the rest of your life, they're gonna like hit you in the head. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Regardless of your gender, they will hit you in the head and it will hurt.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's just a little bit short-sighted. I think the future of the industry is, like, even AEW is dabbling in it now, and I know that's
Yeah.
they've got to deal with sort of network executives who are probably just a bit stuffy about it. But yeah, it's just like the wrestling's come so far in the last 10 years, 20 years, that it just doesn't make sense to gatekeep in that way to me. But it
No,
was
I
never really a
completely agree.
decision. It was just something we were talking about from the start. Like our first show had Harley Hudson and Sam Bailey
Yeah.
because I thought that would be a good match.
And that
And
it's
it
as simple
was.
as that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's one of those, like, we've never had an issue with it. We've never done it and thought, oh, we shouldn't have done that. It's never been the case. So for anyone out there thinking like, oh, it's terrible, people are getting hurt, they're not. It's like everyone's good at what they do. If someone's good enough to be booked, they're good enough to be booked against anybody, is my opinion.
Yeah.
But
I'd agree with that.
yeah. And even like going back to when we trained the fighting spirit, like, there was no. I guess thinking back, it probably was to do with fighting spirit. Like, we didn't have that separation. It was just like, well, okay, two people in the ring now, and there wasn't like,
Yeah.
go over there, like, you have to wrestle you, because there's only a few women in each class, but there was never that kind of like separation. It was never taught to us when we were being taught wrestling. It's just like, well, if someone can do a wrist lock, they can do a wrist lock. Like, what's their gender means nothing in that situation. Because yeah, I don't know. That's basically it. It's hard to describe, but it just wasn't something we ever considered. We just thought like, well, these matches will be good, so we're going to book them. And we've never regretted it. So.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, the women always train with the men. That's pretty much a standard thing. And I think that like women's only training is good from like a inclusivity standpoint and making women maybe feel more comfortable. But yeah,
it should definitely be an option.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, as soon as someone gets confident and trusts everybody they're in the ring with, then there's no reason
for the
why it
most
can't be
part,
intergender.
yeah, at most training schools, it'll just be them mixing it up with everyone, like you say. So it doesn't. To me, I never understand the controversy when sometimes we'll have Marina Shafir, for example, on AEW getting hit by some member of the Don Callis family, for instance, or whatever. Usually there's some people clutching their pearls on Twitter being like, this is disgusting. I just personally don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
She's a wrestler.
Yeah.
Wrestling with other wrestlers. It's just, that's kind of how we see it anyway. It's a hard question to answer as like a boring straight white man, to be honest, because I feel like I could say the wrong thing by accident. But generally, our intentions are good. We just want to put on good wrestling matches with good wrestlers.
Absolutely.
We don't really care what gender they are.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, we'll take it back then. Hopefully, this will be as a white man not difficult to answer. But you said before that you think you've got an eye for talent and you're quite good at spotting people who you think have got that potential. So what is it exactly about a wrestler that you think gives them that sort of, I guess, it factor, and you see like a future champion?
That's a very difficult question. A lot of it is just
sorry.
you kind of look at someone. No, but you look at someone and you just kind of go like, yeah, like them.
Instinct.
They've got it. It's you hear about that a lot. It's like, oh, they've just got it, and then you say, what do you mean? It's like, I don't know what I mean by that. But like, you look at, again, keep talking about Tony Wright, but like, you watch him for 30 seconds in the ring, even if you've never seen him before. Like my brother-in-law, not a wrestling fan, came along because he wanted to come to our shows. And in 30 seconds, he was just like, Tony Wright, he's my guy forever and ever. And that's it. Quintessential, you just latch onto them. And like, I kind of do sometimes use him as a benchmark of like, if he tells me someone after a show, it's like, oh, he was great. Or, oh, I love that bit where she did this. You're like, cool. Okay, you're not a wrestling fan. You come to our shows because you know me. So if someone can get over with him, then they can get over with anybody, like, as a wrestler. But yeah, it's just a thing about you watch someone wrestling, you're like, yeah, they're either incredibly good in the ring, or they understand their character, like to the point where every little thing that they do is their character. if you look at someone like Zach Gibson, like obviously a little bit biased, excuse me, because he trained me for a bit, but everything he does in the ring is a Zach Gibson thing. And it's because he just got it. Like he's incredibly well trained. He works really, really hard to be that high level. But even just little things, just like before he locks up, you look at his body language. It's Zach Gibson. You look at Tony Wright's body language. He's Tony Wright. And when you're training, it's very difficult. Like I never got to that level. I was always very much like create a wrestler, like the guy just sort of bobbing around, just going like, okay, I'm technically fine. I can do all the things and I can do all the moves to go from the start to the end of a match without forgetting some of them. But I never had the character bit because it just wasn't in me. I didn't have it. But then sometimes you can watch like an indie show in a field on a Saturday because you've just wandered to a village feet thing and you see someone who isn't technically great, but their character is spot on, and you just like, you need to go to Future Shock for 6 weeks, and they will teach you how to be good at what you're doing. So yeah, it's a lot of that kind of stuff. But as well, like we did have a bit of a cheat code when we started because we came from Fighting Spirit. So there is like there's a thing in indie wrestling where people go like, oh, the promoters just book their mates. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of what we did. It just so happens that our mates were very highly trained by Grizzled Young Veterans, so we were very lucky.
The best mates.
Yeah, so I suppose when I'm saying like I've got an eye for talent, what I mean is I just know Gibbo.
Just in a good group of friends, just so talented.
Yeah,
of course. Well, I was wondering then, so like if I'm sure you get a million messages a day on your socials asking because people want to get booked at Atomic, like
we do, yeah.
Oh,
and I feel very bad that I can't reply to most of them. There's so many.
Of course. But I guess what I wanted to ask was like, what would make you reply? What advice could you give to a young wrestler who wants to get booked? Like, how do they get noticed?
It's very difficult to just do it through social media. Like a message.
You have to know people. You have to be in the right friendship groups.
To an extent. But I think the benefit of saying like, oh, yeah, I know the right people, but you have to put yourself in the position to know the right people. So if you're just sat at home sending out Instagram messages and you're not training, you can be the best wrestler in the world, but there's no one out there to vouch for you.
Yeah.
Like we do get quite a lot of messages. Some are just like, I want to wrestle for you. Can I? And they say, well, I don't know who you are. Some put the effort in and they'll be like, well, here's a list of my matches. I was trained by these people. I've done these seminars. Here's like 4 matches you can watch with people you've heard of, which they're the ones that I'm most likely I'll at least click a few links and just have a look. But the reality of it is, like I say, we've got 6 shows a year. So that's maybe 20 people per show. And if we've got ongoing storylines, that might mean there's 10 of those spots are already taken by people who we constantly on our shows. If we've got a rumble, there might be a few extra spots that I just open, and if we see something we like, then great. But the main thing is just be around other wrestlers and train everywhere. Like train as many places as you can. Like we've definitely booked people off Sam Bailey saying, "Oh, there's a lad at Future Shock. If you've got a rumble spot, he'd be perfect for it." Or just Greenwood, who we work with as a referee, sometimes he'll message me and go like, just work this show down south somewhere. This guy's great. And then sometimes you'll search their name and you realize, oh, they messaged me 6 months ago. I didn't reply. I feel bad now. But now I've got someone telling me that they're good. Like if we got a message from like any training school that we think is good, like Pursuit Pro or House of Pain or whatever, someone messaged and said like, got this guy, he's show ready. He's not getting very many opportunities. Look at this guy. Like we might take a look. But yeah, it's very difficult. I say if you can get to shows and help out, that's a massive bonus as well. Even if you just around, shake some hands, be polite, it just gives you the foot in the door. But yeah, like if you train regularly and people are there to vouch for you, if a spot opens up, they'll vouch for you to fill it. Like, that's the best advice I can give. Instagram messages and stuff, unless we already know you, don't really go that far. But again, we have had messages of people who want to wrestle for us, and it's like, well, you're already on my list of people I want to wrestle on Atomic. I just haven't got anything for you now. So thank you for reaching out. I'll be in touch. Yeah, it's a minefield, and I feel really bad for indie wrestlers. But the best advice is just train everywhere, meet people, and yeah, best of luck. I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, me neither. I think that's really good advice, though. Yeah, it's difficult. It is so difficult. There's so many people vying for, like you say, limited spots. But I guess if I was to flip that on its head and money and availability not being an issue, if you could book any wrestler in the world for one Atomic show, who would you choose?
Currently active, or
I mean, I was thinking currently active, but I mean, we can
Okay.
go we can go old school as well if you like.
definitely Takeshita.
Oh, an amazing
If it's like
answer.
modern active wrestlers, yeah, Takeshita, everything he does is incredible. I love him. To give a WWE answer, Kevin Owens. Again, I just think
Yeah.
he's excellent at everything he does. Historical answer, any iteration of Foley. Even
Oh,
Foley right now. If Foley was in Liverpool at an Atomic show, I would drive and pick him up personally and just let him do whatever he wanted on the show. That would be incredible.
He
Che
probably-
Burnley, our host, has interviewed Mick Foley a bunch of times.
Oh, wow.
So he's aware of Atomic. So it's only a matter
Nice.
of time.
Hell yeah. I
just
bet
need to book-
he'd turn
yeah.
it into like a Santa's Grotto because he's he's a big Christmas guy, isn't
Absolutely.
he?
Yeah. If I can get him down for the December show, if there's a like a big bearded guy in a Santa outfit, there's a solid chance it's Mick Foley.
You heard it here first, folks. Like, you've got to get to Atomic. Mick Foley's going to be there. It's dressed as Santa.
Eventually, if I get my way, yeah. But yeah, those people. I would have said GYV, but then we booked them. So,
Yeah.
That's been and gone. It's old news. But they will be back at some point as well. Yeah, GYV, Isla Dawn. I'd love to have Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
There's loads, but reality and costs and travel stop all of those things happening.
Yeah, well, in our imaginary fantasy world, people can just teleport. So that
Yeah. And I live in a solid gold house.
Yeah, obviously.
Stacks of money to just throw at people. Yeah.
But some great answers there. Some great answers, especially I think if Estelle was here, she'd love that. Takesha's one of her top favorite wrestlers, so I totally agree with that one.
Yeah. So the thing
sorry, go on.
just I'm just gonna gush about Takesha for a second. But
Please do.
Please,
that's what we
I
do
think
mostly
where
on the podcast every week.
where he hits the ropes and then just instantly jumps without taking another step and just flies across the ring. Like, I don't know how he does that.
He's a magician.
But every time I see it, it's amazing. And I tried to do it once, and I just fell over. It's very difficult because your feet want to walk and you try and jump, and it's just, yeah. It's like you press the wrong button on a game. You've missed the quick event and you just fall. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, carry on. Next question.
He is what a beautiful man. What a beautiful man in all senses of the word. But yeah, we're here to talk about the 3rd anniversary show. So
Yes.
tell us all about that. What can people expect? Why should they buy a ticket to your big birthday party?
Yeah, it's Atomic's 3rd birthday. So the only match we've announced so far is the Pele Invitational Rumble. We did it last year with Lana Austin. This year, Pele just sort of cornered me until I agreed to it. So that's going to be a laugh. Our Rumbles, I think, are quite well known and quite well trusted to be, very enjoyable.
Yeah, they're always the best.
Yeah, we've got a couple of storylines kicking off. It's a birthday show. We're kind of going all out with it. We are trying to put into it sort of the very essence of what Atomic is. So we're trying to get it like the biggest crowd we've got, the biggest crowd we've had since we started, which we're on course for, which is nice. But yeah, we're just trying to make it the biggest advert for everything Atomic is about. like as big as we can, as loud and as obnoxious and as atomic as possible, just like start to finish. Yeah, so we've got Northwest Strong are going to be there. Trailer Dead, our main heel team, are going to be there. Quintessential, Act 2, all the big names. We've got a couple of debuts, which I can't talk about yet, but one of them is a YouTuber man.
A YouTuber?
And it probably is the one you think. So, yeah.
Okay. Some detective work in the comments, please.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just we're trying to make it as atomic as possible in sort of the best way. We are kind of treating it as a bit of not a restart point, but there's a lot of things kicking off on the show that we're going to take into the next 12 months. But then backstage little stuff, like we're launching a new website with
cool.
a lot more stuff. So we're going from what we were, the atomic that we were, to the atomic that we think we should be. So we're making a lot of improvements, sort of backstage as well. And yeah, just come to the show, and that's the best way to experience it. Like, it's great on YouTube, it's free, obviously, but there's nothing quite beats being in that room in content. When all the lights going off and sparklers occasionally, and the wrestlers always forgetting that we have sparklers and pyro, and then jumping when it happens, and that's one of my favorite things in the world. But yeah, it's just it's going to be great. We are pulling out all the stops, and yeah, it's only 16 quid, so
Yeah, and 16 quid. If you end up not liking it, it's not that much money, is it? But
yeah, the bar's good. It's in the middle of town. It's off the Baltic Market. You can go and get some scran, have a few pints.
It's like you were saying earlier, it's just a good night out, no matter what.
It is, yeah. It's a good night out, and if you haven't done it before, now's the best time. And yeah, it's one of those, like, if you don't like it at the start, have a couple of pints. I guarantee you'll like it by the end. It's just how indie wrestling works, and it's how Atomic works, and it's how we keep growing every show. People come along and go, it's all right, this. And then they have a couple of pints, and then like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I'm going to buy every ticket for every show ever.
I want to second all of that as well. Like, the atmosphere at Atomic is really great. Like, I personally love, like, yes, it's fun, yes, it's entertaining, and yes, you'll laugh and you'll be smiling, but also you'll probably feel the whole spectrum of emotions. Like we've talked about, there's heartbreak, there is stories, and also the wrestling quality is super, super high as well. So yeah, I would highly recommend everyone to come along, see what all the fuss is about, because it really is it's a very hot ticket. It's what everyone's talking about in the Northwest, so don't miss out. I've never
been called a hot ticket before.
Well, I think it's a hot ticket. I certainly would say it's a hot ticket. So as we sort of close off the interview, I have like 3 kind of daft questions to ask you, if that's
cool.
Right. So, like, it's a birthday party. So in the spirit of birthday parties, who do you think would win in a game of musical chairs out of the Atomic roster and our crew?
That's a good question. I'm trying to not overcomplicate it in my answer.
Is that booking it like it's a match?
Yeah. I'm thinking of these stories, and I think you would be very hard pressed to beat, say, Alexis Falcon. I think if you did, she'd just glower until you got out of the seat, and then she won. So I think I have no proof to back this up, but I reckon she is shit hot at musical chairs. And maybe we'll find out on the show. Who knows?
I think you should make it like classic kids' birthday party. So like pass the parcel, musical statues, musical chairs. That type of thing.
There are plans in.
Ah, my God.
Maybe not to quite the level you're suggesting. It's not a whole party, but there are some bits. I was going to try and build a giant fake cake for Che Burnley to pop out of, but then I realized he'd have to be there from sort of before doors opened. And so he'd have to be in the cake for at least sort of 60, 70 minutes. And also Che is 6'4", so that's a fucking big cake. And I just I haven't got that amount of cardboard to make that big of a cake. So So that's on the back burner. I did also Google big fake cake because I assumed you could buy them for people to pop out of, and you cannot buy them. That is not a thing. So,
Well, there's a gap in the market for any entrepreneurs listening to this. Big fake cakes for people to pop out.
I thought Amazon would have like a pop out sort of build your own like cardboard cake kind of situation, but no.
It's not a thing that exists. That is disappointing.
It's not, which I know that was like genuinely maybe a little bit sad. Like the world is a darker place for this not existing. But anyway,
it's okay. You just think of a different entrance for Che. Something equally excellent.
Yeah.
So my next kind of daft question is, which two members of the roster do you think should just squash the beef and kiss?
Well, we had that on the last show.
We did.
Yeah. Teddy Ray, Chris Ridgway, two very hard-hitting people. They just decided to spend the rest, quite a lot of the match, just kissing.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just once; it was multiple times.
Oh, several times, yeah. I did an edit of the match, cut it down to a minute for social media, and then I made a note saying you need to make a kiss edit. So there's like a minute of just dudes kissing. Yeah, that was not. We did not give that instruction. They just did that, and everyone loved it. I mean, we have had there's a girl that comes pretty much every show. She sits front row, and she's Scottish. So if you ever hear someone in a Scottish accent just going "kiss him," it's her. She's been doing it for years now. So I'm just saying, she was having a lovely time during that match.
She must have embodied me when I wrote that question.
Yeah,
It was really.
So yeah, I mean, it's never off the table. So sometimes the most heated blood feud can be solved by just a little smooch. So
I mean, exactly. This is what pretty much what we say every week. Like Swerve and Hangman just need to kiss.
Yeah, they will eventually.
Yeah, that's the end point. The end point.
Either on the show or in some like depths of Tumblr fan fiction.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, they've already kissed them many, many times. Anyway, let's change the subject. So, this is the last one. So, I have 3 things to pose to you. Choose one to get rid of forever, but the other 2 will then double in frequency. So, choose wisely. Number 1, people in Instagram DMs asking if you need any custom belts. Number 2, spam bots on Instagram commenting things such as the classic "send me this post." Number 3, the use of AI to promote wrestling shows, for example, making posters and captions.
Okay, that's quite easy to answer, to be honest. The AI can get fuck. I think it's lame. I think it devalues everything. I would much rather see a crappy thing made in Canva than a prompt from AI. Just put some soul into it. If you put any amount of effort in and it looks crap, people can tell that you've put effort in. They don't go, "No, it looks crap." They go, "At least that's a thing."
At least it's made by a human.
Type in AI. Yeah. Like I'd rather. Yeah, you think of like punk zines. I mean, maybe too young for that kind of thing, but it was just printed and it was just photocopied, like folded over, stapled, and they were fun. And you can make a zine about anything. One of my bars has got a zine club to do about films every now and again. They just cut things out, put it down, photocopy it, staple it, and they've got a thing that they made, and it looks a fucking million times better than just going, "Oh, film poster, click." The other 2, if they double, the belts one just makes me laugh every time I get it, so that's good. Yeah. And occasionally I will need a custom belt. So if I get rid of that,
you're in the market.
How do I find? Yeah, like once a year, maybe sometimes less, but we do occasionally need custom belts. So if we get rid of them, then how do I get a belt? I genuinely don't know. The terrible Instagram comments, I always reply to them because that makes the algorithm think that you're popular and interacting with people. So even though it's just a spam bot.
I should have known you would say that as clearly a fellow marketing person, that it's all about engagement.
Yeah. You just want, even if you just send me this post, nah, then that's fine. The algorithm goes, "Oh, well, I don't know. That's a bot. This is a bot. Everyone's bots." Let's push this to more people. Like the fact that the algorithm is showing it to the bots is a good sign. But yeah, AI, I just find it really lazy. Not lazy as such. I just find it pointless. I don't understand why you would do it.
Yeah.
Like, you take away all of the environmental stuff with it, which I know is very bad. Like, even taking that away, it's just not for me. I think at absolute most, it should be made. You could maybe make something in AI for 5 seconds to make fun of your mate in a group chat. Like maybe do that. But even then, just a crappy cut out of a different picture and put it on their head, that's much funnier. Like,
Yeah.
the crappier it is, the funnier it is. So even that's a bad example. Don't use AI for that. Just use your brains. Like Photoshop's not that hard. It's to get to a level where it looks fine. It's not that bad. Like Canva is incredible. Even that's like being in that's becoming AI, which is annoying me. There's a lot of AI options in Canva, but you just don't click them. You just move some stuff around, and it's fine. Like just spend half an hour learning Photoshop. YouTube is full of tutorials. But
Yeah.
that's how I learned. I have no formal training in Photoshop whatsoever. I do all of the atomic graphics, and we get praised for them all the time. They are not perfect, but you can tell that everything we put out is an atomic thing because I made it, and it looks like I made it, for better or worse. Like, that's all it is. If I put out AI stuff, you wouldn't know it was an atomic thing. You wouldn't know I made it, and it would all just look like mush, and there'd be fingers everywhere.
Oh,
So,
and gibberish words.
yeah.
Totally
One tiny little gripe at the very end. So this is not necessarily wrestling related, but it was at For the Love of Wrestling convention. We had the table there. We were giving out flyers. It was a lovely weekend. There was a stall there selling fudge. I'm not sure what that's got to do with wrestling. Whatever. I'm not I'm not the booker. There's a stall there selling fudge. Huge stall. Loads of fudge. Massive AI banner behind them. And it was very obviously AI. And it had the word British on it twice, spelt wrong in 2 different ways.
That's quite impressive, to be fair.
And it's like this thing was as big as a double-decker bus, and you're like, you've generated that, you've looked at it, and you're going, I'm going to print that the size of a fucking bus. It's like, if that's your thought process, I don't trust your fudge. I don't trust you to look at a recipe, and go, okay, I'm going to use this butter that is in date. Whereas you might go, these eggs are a little bit out of date. If you don't know how to use the word British on a massive sign, or at least fix it. Anyway, but yeah, that's my main wrestling gripe of 2026.
Getting the juicy gossip, getting all the beef on the fudge. People for the love of wrestling. Yeah, I mean AI, it's frying people's brains. It looks like crap. It's destroying the environment. What's the point? Just use this thing in your brain. It's amazing, and type some things and, like you said, move shapes. See what happens.
Yeah. And if you can't do it, if you try the Photoshop thing and it doesn't work, give Elliot a shout.
Pay someone to do it. Exactly.
Yeah. Like Elliot, the graphic designer, or Lewis Johnson. Don't ask me. I'm not good. I can do one thing, but ask them. Like they're good. There are people that will do it. You can just pay them money and they make it, and it looks great. And it's fine. It's not that expensive.
I actually just today, someone in my local Facebook group. Yes, I know it's toxic. It's a hellhole, but I just can't tear myself away from the local drama on Facebook. There's someone local to me who has like a little cake hut outside her house where she sells like these bakes and stuff. But all the advertisement is AI generated, so it's like these pictures of like cookie dough or whatever that she's selling, but it's AI generated. I'm like, why would I go out of my way to go and buy this when you can't even bother to take a picture of it? So I don't even know if it's real. It's just an AI generated photo, and it was just total gibberish. So yeah, I was like, what's this supposed to mean? It's like another language. She was like, let's just type on, I'm sure you can figure it out. I was like, why wouldn't you check that before posting it? Oh.
Yeah, especially for a cake cut, that is prime Canva. You just type in cake advert and it'll be there, and you just put your logo on and picture a cake. It's Yeah, there's a cafe near me that just says like it's a tea and coffee advert, and it says like the teas they've got. It's all very obviously AI, and at the bottom it just says and assorted tea coffees. That's not a thing.
What?
What are you talking about? At least delete that. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'm getting heated. Sorry.
Yeah, part 2 of the podcast, the anti section. But no, we'll cut that off before we get even more heated. But thank you so much for coming on the Too Sweet podcast, Chris. We appreciate it so much, and let everyone know where they can find you, where they can buy their tickets.
We are at WrestleAtomic on everything. Mainly Instagram is the main one. We are on Facebook, but Matt runs the Facebook and he forgets to post, so don't worry about that. We're on TikTok, but again, we don't understand it. So Instagram's kind of the main one. Instagram, YouTube. Buy tickets and get all the information from the shows on WrestleAtomic.com. So again, WrestleAtomic, all very simple. And yeah, we're good and it's not expensive and it's a good night out. So come along, have a drink, watch some wrestling, yell at the bad guys, cheer the good guys, have a laugh.
Yeah.
That's my main pitch.
That's the pitch, and it's simple but effective, and I definitely endorse that message. And I'll put the link in the description of this. Another kitty. That's another reason to buy a ticket, because the kitty will love you if you do.
I need to buy cat food.
Oh, I mean, look at this guy. He needs his food. He's wasting away. No, he's not. He's beautiful.
No, he's a little fat guy. Yeah.
Have you got one ginger and one black cat?
We've got 3 cats. We've got Ginger. This is Ron. We've got a completely black cat called Mal. Who's only got one eye. He's born with one eye, so he's called Mal because at the time Malachi Black was doing the eye thing.
Oh, amazing!
So he's Mal. We've got B, who's just a idiot little kitten. So she's just insane.
Well,
so it's Sauron, Malachi, and Beelzebub.
Beautiful.
Mal, Ron, and B. Yeah.
We need to feed these cats. These cats need feeding. So go buy a ticket from Atomic.
Yeah, they feed on wrestling tickets. So it's very.
Yeah.
Come on, talk off me. Come on. Okay, he's not gonna go.
So cute. Well, he can be here for the closing. Thank you so much, Chris. We really appreciate your time, and it's been fascinating to talk to you. Well, I'll see everyone at the Atomic Big Birthday Bash on the 26th of April. Don't miss it in Liverpool, and make a weekend out of it. Go out your way to be there. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a follow, give us a 5-star rating if you haven't already. But thank you very much, Chris, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you for having me.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, and good night, bye.
I wish you died in the womb.